you go to win. And because I need to be able to enter the void and really believe I'm there for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and go to that nasty place where it's like, this is going to hurt. This is going to be unpleasant. And if I think I'm doing that for some 4th place finish, dude, F that noise, bro. I am there to win.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Think Big Bodybuilding Media. I'm Scott McNally, and with me today, we're going to do something fun. I am with competitive eater Nick Wehry. What is up, brother? How you doing, man?
I can't complain, man. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, this is, it only makes sense, you know? If we're not talking about gear on a bodybuilding show, we're talking about training. And if we're not talking about training, we are talking about eating. So who better to have on than a human being? I watched your preparation for the Nathan's hot dog eating contest video. I couldn't imagine eating 3 hot dogs in 5 minutes, let alone 44. That's nuts, man. That is nuts.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't condone the behavior. You know, it's definitely something that's it's a gift. We always joke around, you know, that you don't find competitive eating; it finds you.
Yeah,
you know, we're kind of like the genetic anomalies that walk around the gym, and somebody's just like, "Hey, maybe you should compete." So that's kind of what happens with a lot of us with the eating thing.
So you were eating a lot all your life then, or how'd that work out?
Not so much all my life. It was more so I wasn't a big eater. I always drank a lot of fluid, which I remember like my stepmom commenting on when I was a kid. But after I competed, I actually became a pretty big eater. You know, I did my handful of bodybuilding shows, and like particularly after I competed against actually Derik Oslan.
Okay.
At New England's in I believe 2015 or 2016. I'm getting old. I forget the years, but he beat my ass there, and I lost about 58 pounds in, I think, roughly around 9 to 10 weeks for that prep.
Okay.
And which is because I allowed myself to get super puffy. And after that, I stayed probably single digits virtually since then, you know, and my hunger just became kind of ravenous. And after those shows, it kind of became a running joke amongst my friends. I would go to Wendy's and get like 7 or 8 sandwiches, and a couple Frosties and a couple fries, and just eat them on break.
Yeah.
And they're like, I didn't realize, so people were like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it kind of just spiraled out of control from there, yeah.
Dang. So how long have you been competitive eating for now then?
This was my 4th year as a professional. Or this is my 4th year as a professional. So
okay.
That was, I really just kind of leapt in. A lot of people kind of eased their way into it, but I did a local punchki eating contest, like the Polish jelly donuts on that Tuesday. And I jumped in because they were like, you can raise money for charity, you get free donuts, and you win $200. I'm like, F it. You know, why not? I'll go do it. And I kind of won handily. Then I entered the White Hut Cheeseburger Eating Championships that I thought was an amateur contest, but I signed up for the professional division.
Ooh.
And I got there, they're like, you're with the pros. And I'm like, I'm not a pro.
Yeah.
They're like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. There were 16 professionals, and I placed 5th among 16 people. So, and some people backstage, that's kind of when they were like, maybe you should think about doing this.
Really?
You know, yeah. And so like, you should do a hot dog practice. I'm like, what the fuck's a hot dog practice? You know, and so a few weeks later, I went and bought a bunch of cheap Bar-S hot dogs, lined them up, and in my first try ever, I did like 27 in 10 minutes, not knowing what the hell I was doing, just an idiot in my kitchen dunking hot dogs into normal glasses and stuff like that. And now we're here. So. Damn.
So there is a skill to it. I watched a couple of your videos and I heard terms like the hand-eye coordination or hand-mouth coordination. Like you have there's a skill to this. You're not just like taking food and eating it, period, right?
Yeah, it's no longer just a fat uncle at the barbecue ramming stuff down his face. It's, as soon as you put money on the line for something, much more starts to go into it. I would equate it very similar to like bodybuilding.
Okay.
When the checks started getting bigger, people really started pouring themselves more into it. Like you're willing to risk more, you're willing to train more, you're willing to do more. So for us, depending on the food, if it's a food like a poutine that we do in Toronto or a chili, you're shoveling that into your face.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's a capacity contest. But if it's like wings or hot dogs or ribs, there's definitely a technique to it and kind kind of figuring out your body and just kind of making it work with you.
All right, I got to know, man. What's a basic piece of advice that you would give to people, like as far as a skill for eating a hot dog quickly?
Separate the meat and the bun. You know, so like I go 2 meats, 2 buns. So you'll see me pick up 2 hot dogs and I'm dunking the bun. So as I'm dunking this bun in, for me, it's an exotic flavored Bolero. So shout out to Alessandro and Rosetta. Great people. I use their exotic flavored Bolero as my drink mix.
Nice.
And the bun is a chaser. It's just a chaser for the hot dogs. So for me, it's chew the hot dogs as fast as possible to get them down. Chase it with the bun, and there should be 2 down in sub 10 seconds.
Good God. Yeah, my record is I was at Costco and I was feeling a little hungry and they had those hot dogs for 99 cents and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get 2, and I regretted it.
Yeah. It's people sometimes ask, like, if you had more than 10 minutes, do you think you could eat more than 44 or what have you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, no, because it's like I want to rip that Band-Aid off.
Okay.
It'd be like me telling you, if your max squat was like, let's say you could do like 405 or 12. If I'm like, why don't you just take your time and squat and then rest with a bar on your shoulder, do another rep, and then rest, you're gonna be like, dude, no, let's do this. I want this over with. Like, unless you're like slightly masochistic, like a Scott Stevenson, you're gonna want to get this over with.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So let's talk a little bit about bodybuilding then. How does this relate to the sport? I mean, obviously you're eating more food. Since you've gotten into this, have you seen more development?
So I kind of got into this as my bodybuilding took somewhat of a backseat to the competitive eating, because I have right now a 6-year-old daughter, a son who's about to be 4, and my 2-week-old son. So with that comes a lot less time to do your own thing.
Sure.
So in my last couple bodybuilding preps for New England's and for Garden States, I was never the prettiest on stage, but I would dial it in and kind of get off on the fact that I'm like, this is going to hurt and I'm going to enjoy it more than you're going to enjoy the hurt.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. The worse I feel, the better I'm going to look type of deal.
Yeah.
So like my stimulant dosages, oh God, like by the end of Garden States, I was on around 2 grams of caffeine on an average day. Around 75 milligrams of ephedra, probably 200 micrograms of Clen, and around 20 mgs of Yohimbe.
Phew, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I was like crippled by anxiety, sweats, and tremors. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be dialed in.
Yeah.
So after that, it took kind of that step back, but I think dropping my body fat to those levels, people who believe in like body fat set point theory, I think that's where some of my hunger came from. Is kind of like some of that satiety signaling being blocked because my body wanting to get back to, let's say, a 10%, 11%, 12%, and much more sustainable.
Yeah.
When after Garden States, I probably lived around 6-7% for a while, and I didn't even realize it. I was just so in my own head.
Yeah.
Until one of my buddies is like, dude, fuck, man, you got to eat.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, but it equates very well to when I want to put tissue on. I have no problem at all putting away like a clean 5,000 calories is kind of I don't want to say it's a piece of cake, but relatively speaking, like my fiance, Miki Sudo, those are her 7 titles behind me. She did Brian Shaw's daily diet in a single meal.
You're kidding me. Oh my God.
Yeah, we've got that shit on the YouTube channel. Yeah,
wow.
I'm like, babe, I think I'm going to do Brian's daily diet in a single meal. And I showed her and I'm like, no. I'm like, you should do it. You should do it. So, yeah, the one where he's doing like cheesecake, and I think she did a couple pizzas, a cheesecake, pounds of like beef and rice and everything. It was like 11,000 calories, and she casually did it in like 35 minutes.
Holy shit, that is insane. That is, it's blowing my mind. Hey, we got a question. I feel like this ties right in too. This is from one of the listeners or viewers. It says, I was hoping to learn the secret to making myself hungry so that I can put down some food. Competitive eating is epic and y'all are insane. So it sounds like you kind of maybe almost answered that in a way, that by keeping your body fat a little lower, that has helped you. Dude, that makes so much sense to me. It really does, man.
Like insulin sensitivity and yeah, it's because like going through life, I wasn't in good shape. I was not one of these people who was naturally lean or naturally muscular. I graduated high school about 167 pounds, skinny fat. At the peak of my like lean tissue or like bodybuilding career per se, I'm smaller during the eating season. Like right now, I got up to 240, but it wasn't a pretty 240.
Okay.
I was about 225, pretty lean. So yeah, I probably added about 60 pounds of lean tissue from high school on. So doing that and being much larger and significantly leaner, my body wanted to eat.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately it really did, especially spending that 240. I spent a decent amount of time in that puffy range before I cut down for some shows. So I think my body became comfortable there, you know, just completely insulin resistant and looking like, you know, like Kirby or like Pac-Man or something. But it was, so then when you drop that body fat and keep it there, it kind of wants to feed you satiety signals really to because it thinks you're dying.
Yeah.
And your body essentially is like, I don't want to be, there's no reason to be 5%.
Right.
Or anything like that. Like, contrary to what Rich Brianna said, you don't need to be 5%. But like, it's, so that was a big part for me. And then honestly, a couple of the meals I ate post shows, I think we've all been there where it's like, you really go to town to the point where you are physically uncomfortable. So for people who need to eat more, who want to eat more, who are for bodybuilding purposes, what I would say is like when you're done eating, what you can do safely, please, is top your meal off with fluid or water. And now, if you were actually trying to make the bag bigger. So if you ate, let's say, 8 ounces of ground beef and 2 cups of rice or something like that, something basic and a little bit of broccoli, what that can do is kind of stretch that bag that is your stomach ultimately, because a normal human stomach obviously isn't going to fit 44 hot dogs and buns.
Right.
You know, that's not going to happen. So the one negative to that is if you dump a whole bunch of water on top of a freshly consumed meal, it is going to take a little bit longer to digest. Most likely you're not allowing those kind of like let the stomach acids go to work for a few minutes. I know there's some coaches, not necessarily that I'm a huge fan of, but like Cement Factory per se will have you not really eat or not really drink fluid for a while after you eat your meal. Take a whole dickload of digestive enzymes and then drink your fluid 20 minutes later to try to help it flush through and stuff. So if you want to digest the food faster, don't drink as much with your meals until maybe like 10, 15 minutes after, in my opinion. If you want to expand the bag, you need to expand the bag. Yeah. You know, if you just can't fit more. And there's a lot of secrets per se. There's things you could do, like if you don't want to buy cream of rice, go buy Rice Krispies, bro. Throw it in the blender. You can get about 250 grams of carbs. It'll condense down to about 12 ounces and just drink them.
Yes.
You know, or make
drink
it into
Rice Krispies. I like that advice.
Cereal paste. Like sometimes I just sent a picture to Derik Oslan and Scott Stevenson the other day. So I'm fortunate enough to train at Derik's gym and hang out with Scott and Derik. And it was holiday-themed Rice Krispies that I got on clearance that I had made into like a cream of rice paste in the blender and with water, with egg whites dumped in there, and like stuff that looks disgusting but is very delicious.
That's making me hungry, kind of. That sounds like it'd be delicious.
It's pretty legit, man, with some like Splenda and you know, like vanilla extract in there. Pretty legit,
yeah. Derik has mentioned you train at his gym, Fit Fam Tampa. What's that place like? It looks like a really good place.
Dude, it's fucking awesome, man. Like, they got the like, as soon as you walk into a gym and you see, like, the Humbler, like that pendulum squat, you're like, oh, God, it's business here. So, it's really awesome. Derik and Anastasia, the owners of the gym, they're great people. You know, I've known Derik for a little bit, and you go in there and you get everybody, though. So, like, I don't want people to think, like, it's only elite-level bodybuilders or physique athletes or what have you. You can still get people who are just entry level coming in, just learning from people who are great at their job, like an Anastasia or a Derik or a Luke, the trainers that are there. But, you know, Derik's like custom dumbbells there that he's put all the way up to maybe like 180 or more. He's slinging those things around. And like,
I saw him.
Dude, laborious as hell to get those things in place.
I saw him rowing a 225 with good form, like good technique.
He's a freak. Derik's a freak. Like, in the best way, he is incredibly strong. And like, if you're in there at the right time, you got Dr. Scott in there just going batshit, training. But then at the same point, he's got that ability to turn it off.
Yeah.
Between sets. So then he could sit there and go, just full genius nerd on you talking about anything.
Yeah.
And then if he sees my dog, if I bring Dennis, my American bully, then Scott just becomes big, like, oh my God. So it's an awesome atmosphere, great people, kick-ass gym, awesome equipment. Like that's my home away from home there. That's my therapy.
Nice. So as far as competitive eating goes, where are you currently ranked in the world?
So I'm ranked 6th in the world.
Okay.
As a professional.
In the
they
world.
They haven't redone the rankings. Yeah. It's weird when I say it. It's still weird, like that's the other thing that I liked about this versus bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, I loved it, but I lacked a lot of talent per se. My delts and my traps naturally kind of grew. Everything else is gonna be like, we're just gonna get vascular and gross, but we're not necessarily gonna great, man, great, super. But it's 6th in the world. I just got 3rd at Nathan's with 44 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. Beat the guy that's ranked 3rd in the world there.
Nice.
And my fiance, Miki, she's ranked 5th in the world. Okay. So, but I took her out of competition for about 9 months.
Wow,
With our son, so I needed to bump that ranking up. You got to do what you got to do.
It was a strategic move, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, no, but I imagine they'll redo them soon. I would expect to maybe jump a spot or two, but I mean, if I don't, I don't. I plan on going and continuing to compete and kick ass and move forward. And then Derik keeps trying to convince me now. He's like, dude, just like, why don't we just prep for this? Why don't we just prep you for this? You don't even need to tell anybody. We can just prep you for this show. And I'm like, all right, dude, chill. We'll see.
You already look really lean right now, man. And the way you hold your carry body fat, I can't imagine it would take you that long to get into shape for a contest.
Probably not. My issue would be I have to stay in a deficit like 6 days a week.
Okay.
Because if one day a week it's going to be caloric anarchy, I need to kind of account for that in the budget.
Okay.
So my tissues are never really as full or as primed as they should be, whether that's for kick-ass training sessions or just recovery ultimately, because even the foods I do eat, I have to alter some of my food choices to kind of increase digestive motility and not have too much in my GI tract.
Okay.
Because if I need to fit 17 pounds of cheese curds, fries, and gravy in my stomach, I really can't have things in my GI tract, or they're going to want to leave during the contest.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of finding that balance.
Yeah. We froze up here for just a second. I'm going to let it clear. There we go. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Perfect.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, so does it affect your physique at all, like the midsection? If you're expanding your stomach, I know you're talking about adding water so you can, and I like that term, stretch the bag, make the stomach bigger. It's a very clear visual of what you have to do to be able to handle literally 44 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Is that a negative? Is it something you've seen in your midsection at all, or no?
If I let it go.
Okay.
Because that was probably one of my few strengths when I was, in compete is pretty small waist. And it gives the illusion of me being much bigger than I am when I'm on stage, until you put somebody like a Derik next to me and they're like, no. But it's if I let it go and I don't control it, there's definitely some distension, because if you're going to, when I literally ate 17 pounds of poutine in Toronto, that's going to go somewhere ultimately. So it stretches your abdominal wall out. Yeah. If anything, I might say my years of bodybuilding training hurt me in competitive eating, because I don't have that elasticity that a lot of the eaters have. Most of the professional competitive eaters have never gone, hey, I'm going to put 500 pounds on my back and squat down to the floor, then stand up, until I shit myself or whatever. They've never done that, so their core doesn't have that tightness. Where mine, there have been a few times in contests where I know my stomach can fit more, but my core is like, yeah, that's cute, but no, I'm not expanding. And so I actually can't train heavy, or anything like spinal loading or core loading going into an eating contest, because it'll tighten me up a lot.
No kidding. I guess that makes sense. That's something I hadn't thought about. So tell me, the number one guy right now in competitive eating, who is that?
That would be Mr. Joey Chestnut is number one. He's got like 14 Nathan's titles or something. He's the Ronnie of what we do.
Okay.
You know, just where people can argue that people are better, this and that and the other. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But at least as far as dominance level, he's been that for the hot dog eating contest. With that said, other foods, he loses as many contests as he wins.
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, he'll still place top 2 or top 3 in all those contests. But, like, I beat Chestnut at Halloween Candy Bowl, you know, over Halloween. And that was a different contest for all of us. Like 6 different candies. You got to eat one, go eat a pound of this, eat a pound of this, eat a pound of this, and go through.
No kidding. Yeah. Wow.
So he's beatable. And the thing is, he's beatable in hot dogs, too.
Huh.
But he was so dominant for such an extended period of time that even in, like, if you go back and watch the Nathan's replay from this year, which I think you can still find on the app, the guys who they expected to get second and third, who were Jeff Esper and Darren Breeden, who got second and fourth respectively, they both said, like, oh, I'm not going to beat Joey, you know, this year. I'm going to go in and try to get a personal best and this, that, and the other. And you know what your body's physically capable of, but at the same time, what the fuck, man? I can't imagine going into a contest with that attitude because it's like, he's a man.
Huh.
He puts his I'm assuming he puts his pants on one leg at a time. Like, and eventually everybody, and maybe it's from me watching bodybuilding where I have that, like, everybody's body says no.
Yeah.
Eventually, like if you told me in 2017, oh no, Phil's not going to get a Olympias, I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I think all of us were like, Phil's going to go until he doesn't want to go anymore. Like, but eventually he got that hernia. And his body said no. And, like, Roden was – or even Jay. Like, when Jay won and then he beat Victor in that, like, kind of like a doo-doo decision where I think Dennis over Victor could have won that year. But then his body said no. And, like, Dexter showed up and was waiting in the wings. Or when Jay beat Ronnie.
Yeah.
And Ronnie's unbeatable. But his body said F off, bro. Like, I can't do this anymore. And somebody could probably argue that Ronnie deserved to win that 9th title. But at the same point – I texted Chestnut the Wednesday before Nathan's, Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm like, dude, I'm glad to hear you're training hard because when I take that belt from you, I don't want it to be because you laid it down. So it's I'm not disillusioned to think that I'm better than Joey or this, that, and the other, but my number is the only number on the men's stage that has gone up 4 consecutive years, period. And if I'm capable of doing it physically, that belt will be mine. Either my body's going to quit on me or I'm going to go take that title. So I do have on Joey his youth and a nastiness about me that probably came from bodybuilding. That's like, let's see what this body can do before a race.
Yeah. You've got time. You've got time on your side, man.
Yeah.
And you know what, too? If we compare this to bodybuilding, you know what? Not everybody's body cooperates with them. You might not be like when Ronnie was done, he was done. When Phil was done, it is pretty arguable that he was done, you know?
Yeah, totally.
You can also have just a bad day. You know, right. I can imagine it must take a lot of preparation just to get to that contest that day. I can tell you my appetite changes, my ability to eat changes, my acid levels change day to day to day. So I can only imagine that even a guy who is quote unquote unbeatable, you know, has his beatable days, you know?
Exactly. Like, because even like, so to put in perspective without getting super graphic, the day before like a Nathan's, I'll probably cut out solids about 20 to 24 hours out. I'll cut out solid food meals. And right around 18, probably about 16 to 20 hours out, I'll drink a bottle of mag citrate because everybody's got to leave.
Okay.
You know, have a nice unpleasant few hours and kind of go in and get ready. But the fact is, like, I think we've all had times before bodybuilding shows where it's like, you can't shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to be distended as hell. Like, I don't want to drink mag citrate and throw my electrolyte balance off and then look like a bag of shit on stage after prepping for 16 weeks. So it's like that could happen to a competitive eater. And if you got 4 pounds of doo-doo in your colon, that's 4 less pounds of space that you have. And 4 pounds of space is the equivalent, at least weight-wise, of 16 hot dogs and buns, roughly. 16 to 18 hot dogs and buns. So he can have a bad day, which he did in 2015 when Matt Stoney beat him. Chestnut showed up and ate like 58, which bad day. He played 58, Stoney ate like 61, and he beat him. But, like, I have to believe that I'm going to go in there and beat him every time, regardless of what the contest is. And when I go into a contest, it's not with the mindset of like, oh, I want to beat this person. I want to be better than myself. It's just to be better. I practice to be better than myself. I compete to kick ass and win, period. Like, I am not here for ninth place magenta shitbag participation trophies. Okay, we don't keep those in my house. My daughter wouldn't keep that from 6-year-old soccer. We don't keep participation trophies here. You go to win, and because I need to be able to enter the void and really believe I'm there for a reason.
Yeah,
and go to that nasty place where it's like, this is gonna hurt, this is gonna be unpleasant, and if I think I'm doing that for some 4th place finish. Dude, F that noise, bro. I am there to win. I
love that attitude, man.
Thank you.
We got another cool question that came up here. Okay, so this is from Nathan. He says, similar to a top set of a compound lift, say squats or deads, etc., and you're having to mentally grab another gear to keep moving forward. What does it look like mentally during a contest when you start to feel full?
Oh, God.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. It is, because like you will feel full long before you're full. We can all relate to that in bodybuilding times when it's like, you should be able to eat, and like half a cup of rice and 7 ounces of chicken looks like hell.
Yeah.
There's no way. But for an eating contest, before the contest, again, like if you go back and watch the footage of Nathan's, it's hard before the contest. But we go out there, and particularly at Nathan's, it is there's thousands of people, and it's electric. And whether they're yelling for you or largely for me against you, it's like that's even better. That's even better because I can't wait to smack that smile off your face, figuratively speaking, and just like send your favorite eater packing, and I'm taking a check. Like I love that part. And so there's that part, but really for me, it's like they go off, the crowd's off. I get there, I make my drink mix. I have my Bolero here. I have my Gatorades over here. I have whatever I'm eating. So in this case, hot dogs. And I try very hard I heard Dave Tate has described it. Jordan Peters has described it. And not so many ways, it's the void.
Yeah.
It's not a nice place where I go. Personally, everybody is different, but like I remind myself that you've been here before, you know how to do this. Now it's time to go, and then I start to enter the not so nice place. You think about things maybe that have happened to you in the past, or things that you're upset about, and
you can go there. You can go there with eating.
Yeah, because that's where and it took me a little bit to discover that with eating.
Huh.
With bodybuilding, I had it. With bodybuilding, I used to train with my buddy Jeff Logan, who owns Logan Performance, and he's like Instagram famous and all this stuff. Now he's an actor and he got some Netflix series. He used to train with Dana and Rob, Dana Lynn Bailey and Rob. Yeah. And he told me, he's like, you and Dana are the only 2 people I've ever seen cry before a set even starts. Just to really get to that place where when people are like, well, what are you thinking about? It's like, I don't want to talk about that with you.
Yeah.
It's not. And there are times I'll even come home and Miki will be like, from the gym per se, because I will get there still occasionally. And she's like, you need a minute? Like you just maybe I'll go have to take a shower and just kind of come back from it. But you go to that place to where it's only pain. Physical pain goes away. That's the great thing about it. We're not talking about emotional pain here. Physical pain. And if I can delve into that emotional pain, oh my God! Now you're talking physical pain is just blue on black at that point. It doesn't even matter. And I know, like, you think you're going to take a check from my kids, from my fiance? Like I most of those people, not all, most of those people are my friends, and I'll flat out say to them, like, I like you, but I fucking hate you right now. I don't even know you. Even with her, even when her and I compete on stage together, because the men and women compete together everywhere except Nathan's. And it's like, I want her to beat everybody on the stage except me. I don't want you to beat. No, I love you, but no. You can take that 2nd place check home. So it's for me, it's just go to that nasty place where you embrace the pain, knowing it's going to go away, and you can replace that pain with your success, or you can replace that pain with your failure and you bitched out.
That's intense, man.
It's probably way more intense than most people would expect, and people probably don't have to go there. But for me, it's you block it out. I don't want to hear anything. I just want a Kevin Costner, clear the mechanism.
Yeah.
Like from what is it? The shit For the Love of the Game.
There you go.
Yeah, you just clear the mechanism. Everybody in Yankee Stadium disappears, and it's just me, the pain, and the food, and we can deal with it afterwards.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I can relate to that only because through, bodybuilding. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
All right. I got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So, Oreo cookies, how many can you eat? Because I feel like I'm a man. I feel ashamed when I buy Oreos. In fact, I don't anymore. I walk by them, I give them a head nod, and then I look the other way and keep going because it's going to be a mess, man. Like, I tell myself I'm going to space them out, but then I'm like, I probably look like you do, like the hand right up to the face thing, and they're gone. Like, sometimes there's like 7 of them gone before I even leave the parking lot at the grocery store. I'm just admitting a bunch of shit right now. Maybe I feel better about myself for letting this out, but yeah. I've seen the Oreo eating contests. Like, what does that look like?
They're tough. Well, real quick, if it makes you feel any better, she's got a picture of me eating a tube of cookie dough like an apple as I'm driving home in the car. That's what I've been there. Literally a tube of Pillsbury sugar cookie dough, and I'm just eating it driving. She came out of the grocery store after me, and she sits down. She just shook her head as I'm eating this cookie dough.
I'll feel better. I feel better from that. I can drive home eating my Oreos, crying and saying, "But I'm not as bad as Nick. I'm not as bad as Nick."
Exactly. But Oreos, I actually tried to eat a whole bunch to set a record once, and I want to say I ended it like 220, something like that. Nothing major. Yeah, like I think somebody ate 300. I think 300 is the record, but like the real problem was, and I got all different flavors of Oreos because they got like a billion different flavors.
Yeah.
For the most part, I got the OGs, but they all taste the same after like number 80. I'll tell you that. Like, it doesn't matter what flavor Oreo is. They taste like my mouth feels like I chewed razor blades and cardboard sugar.
Oh God, I could see that. That'd be like a Captain Crunch eating contest.
Oh my, yeah. It felt like somebody punched me in the face. And when it's with sweets, it's very hard because I would say about 20 minutes in, your blood sugar really starts to go.
Oh,
and your body starts to turn on you. It's like, you think so, MFer? That's adorable, but like you start to almost get like cold sweats and feel really bad. Like, Oreos are about as bad as I felt doing 200 plus Oreos, other than I did like a 13-pound bowl of Lucky Charms. And that video's on the YouTube channel where it actually didn't fit in a bowl. There were so many. We went and got a wreath holder from Lowe's.
Oh my God.
Filled the wreath holder from Lowe's and filled like a gallon of milk and copious amounts. It was magically idiotic. And it was just absolutely, I felt so bad.
Yeah, that pain is like you invented a new type of diabetes and gave it to yourself is what happened.
Yeah, Wilford Brimley was just shook his head.
If you have type 2 diabetes like I have, you're confronted with choices.
But that was unbelievably terrible. And there's not enough like metformin or berberine or glucose disposal agents in the world to save you from that one. But the crazy part is that was just for a YouTube video. That wasn't even for a contest. It wasn't even like there was a big check at the end of the rainbow. It was just me being an idiot.
Okay. Yeah, because Paige had asked us a minute ago what was worse, savory foods or sweet foods. It sounds like sweet foods are rough, but I can imagine like something that's higher in fat. I just know from my own diet, we're working with my nutrition clients, the more fats you have in a diet, the slower digestion is, the harder it is to eat a lot of it.
Yeah. So high fat foods, you really got to go to work pretty quick. So we did like wings in Lake Tahoe, the Hooters World Wing Eating Championships. So obviously there's a pretty copious amount of sodium and fat in there. Yeah. I did 223 in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So that was a fun one. It was probably only like 8 pounds of meat or something. It's nothing crazy, but the sauce and the sodium and just all the, oh God, that's very, very rough. When you combine all that fat and sodium together. The next day, your face is just like a blimp, and your hands look like Jimmy Dean sausages.
Yeah,
and it's just like you're just, oh god, it's so terrible. And the worst part is like you're in Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
and somebody, and like you're getting paid to be there, and you're like, I can't even enjoy this because I feel like somebody should be rolling me down Main Street right now. It depends on the food. Like there are some foods too that just they're regional delicacies.
Yeah, like the poutine,
so
maybe
like poutine in Toronto, or like pork roll sandwiches in Jersey.
Okay,
or Taylor ham, as some people know it. That's definitely different. Really good when it's on like egg sandwich with cheese and a bagel and whatever. Like, when you just put a slice of pork roll between like cheapy burger buns, and have to eat them as fast as possible. That's a little. It's kind of like a giant cased piece of bologna.
Oh God, that does not sound fun.
Like tangy and salty, or like pepperoni rolls in West Virginia.
Ooh,
which sound bully, right? That sounds good. Not, it's Slim Jims. It was like 43 degrees outside when we did the contest this year.
Wait, say that again. We lost you for a second. It was what?
43 degrees outside when we did the contest this year, and drizzling. So you have cold, wet bread filled with Slim Jims that you're trying to eat as fast as possible. Everyone's like, why'd you only eat 24? Like, dude, don't talk to me.
Wow.
That was a rough one.
So what's up next? What do you have your sights set on?
That's a tough one. I know right now on the calendar, I think we're kind of waiting for all the sponsors to be like, oh, it's okay. We can do this. Nathan's kind of off without a hitch. So I know there's tamales in Texas.
Whew.
I did that one last year and got third. And then there's pork roll sandwiches in Jersey, in Trenton, New Jersey. Those are on there. Usually each year there's Buffalo Wing Fest up in Buffalo, New York. So we're hoping that one comes back, because that's a really fun one to do. She kicked my ass at that contest last time. But that's a fun one. And then we'll see kind of how they kind of come down the pipe. There was a contest, White Hut Cheeseburgers. That was the first one I ever did.
Yeah.
Professional. I'm hoping that one comes back at the Big E in Massachusetts. So, but we love traveling. There's Snowbird, Utah. We went to and did brats. That's a fun one. So yeah, we'll see which ones come up next. Right now, just training, and Derek's trying to get me to compete in like the Tampa Pro or something like that. Go do the amateurs, the Tampa Pro. So we'll see if anything comes on the bodybuilding front. But for right now, just I kind of also I love being the one that tries to stay in, as ridiculous sounds, contest eating shape, even when there's not necessarily something directly coming up. Because then I can beat people who I have no business beating.
Oh, okay.
I think it's hard for some people to stay motivated when there's not a carrot dangling.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of that Henry Rollins. It's like, I don't have talent. I have tenacity, I have focus, and I have discipline, and I know without a doubt where I come from and where I can go back to.
I love that.
So for me, it's very much. I know what I want to do, what I want to provide, for her and my kids and all that stuff, and just beat people, not for the sake of like, oh, I'll show them, and I don't really give a shit. There's part of it that's awesome, rubbing shit in people's faces, because I'm not just a bodybuilder sideshow that waddled on stage as a professional competitive eater. Yeah, it's guess who's still here, motherfucker. That part's really cool. And but then part of it's to prove myself right. It's like you have that choice. Do you want to prove that everyone else was right? That you maybe you are nothing. Maybe they will find out that you don't carry that inherent value, and you're just another person in a cubicle somewhere. No offense to people who work in cubicles, that's a figurative term.
Yeah.
Or do you want to prove yourself right, that like you set out and found who you really are and found that potential and fucking just dug into that shit and juiced that orange for everything it was worth. And that's really what I want. Is I love what I do. I'm super fortunate that bodybuilding ultimately led me to competitive eating. I can now do both of these things. I met the love of my life. I get to travel around the world and shove stuff down my face and get paid for it and still maintain a decent physique, at least to the point where people are like, you're a competitive eater? What the like that part. So a lot of fun, man. It's just exciting. Shit, I'm talking to you. I'm on like the Think Big Bodybuilding right now. Like, that's so cool. Like, when you reached out, I was like, oh shit. It is so cool, man. So,
well, I'm glad to have you, man. This is fun, and it's a cool perspective. And listen, I would argue that your tenacity, it's in line with being a genetic trait. That I don't know, maybe part of that was nurture versus nature, but I would argue, though, that not everybody has that, and we can't put our finger on why, just like we can't put our finger on why people have other traits. I would say that in itself can be part of what it takes to be a champion, and not everybody is able to do it.
I would agree, man. You know, there's a couple competitors we compete with, and with the competitive eater, sometimes what you'll see is, obviously, when you see us on stage, we look like the people leaving Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. There's like big ones, small ones, and a blue one, and this, that, and the other. And, you know, like my buddy Badlands, who people know as Badlands Chugs, he's got like 3 million YouTube subs. He's like 500 pounds, you know. And then my buddy Gideon, who competes with us, Gideon's a 6'8" Nigerian cat who played college basketball.
Wow.
You know, and you have me, and, you know, so everybody's very different, but like some people, though, you'll see a short neck and a long torso. Yeah. That works really well for competitive eating. With that long torso, like Miki is 5 inches shorter than me, and when her and I sit on the couch, she's just as tall as I am because of her torso length.
Okay.
She's got a very, like, her Japanese genetics kind of play very much into those shorter legs and longer torso. And people are like, oh, that's racist. Like, no, if you look a lot of the time Asian bodybuilders have shorter legs. Like,
sure.
Super fucking jacked, shorter legs. She's even got awesome calves. She's never trained calves a day in her life. It's bullshit. But like, I keep thinking like, oh, my son Max is gonna have great calves on him if he gets my cap dealt. I'm like, no, yeah. But yeah, that genetic trait, like you spoke about, there's a couple people I compete with, and they have maybe a shorter neck than I do, and they definitely don't have the tight core from lifting, and they have a longer torso, and I know their capacity, what they can fit, is more than mine. What they don't have is a lot of nasty in them. And that, I think, can bring you, like some people may argue, and this is, people probably get pee pants about this, Flex Wheeler.
Yeah.
Might have been missing some nasty to him.
Yeah, like, maybe.
I know you could beat up 3 ninjas before the Olympics.
I love that you know these references.
Right? But like you, or even like Chris Cormier, not so much with his training, because Chris trained hard as shit, but like maybe with how much he could stick to a diet or stay away from things he should stay away from. Like Chad Nichols has some pretty funny stories about that stuff, where it's like Chris lacked that ability to just go full robot.
Right.
You know, where Ronnie just almost, I don't say didn't know any better, because Ronnie was incredibly intelligent, but it was just like you weren't going to take that from him. Yeah. You weren't, you know, and obviously Dorian had that, and there's a certain amount of guys, like, people don't have to like Branch Warren or his physique. Sometimes he looked like you glued together a bunch of G.I. Joes. But at the same point, by the end of his career, he was incredible in the beginning. And, like, again, it's not a knock on Branch. I'm a fan of Branches, so people don't get butthurt about that. But, like, you can't take away from the fact that that guy, whether it was smart or not, trained his fucking ass off.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Where most people couldn't even begin to fathom training that hard. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, he's a great example of what I'm talking about too, man. That in itself is something to that not everybody has.
That's in there. Yeah, I think that's in there to an extent. And you see, like, I watched both my parents work very, very hard. Yeah. You know, growing up, and my dad is a contractor and still is to this day. You know, he's going to work, you know, till the day he dies. You know, and he loves it, but like his body is broken. He's 63. You know, and I watched him just work like 80-hour work weeks from the time I was a kid. Yeah. You know, for not necessarily very much to show for it as a contractor all the time. So there's some of it's from that, and then I think some of it is from internal, you know, things that are naturally there, you know, nature, and then some of it I think is if you face hardships or nasty things early on in life, I think they can go one of two directions. And if you can find a way to harness that, that's one of my favorite things, is when I used to work with diet and training clients, is trying to help them through. And it's like, I know you have pain and I know you have anguish, and I can't help you with that per se because I'm not a professional in mental health. I'd recommend you get that. But what we can do is if you can harness that in a good manner, I think it is so much more powerful in the right circumstance and positive reinforcement.
Yeah. Versus allowing the exact same thing to become very self-destructive.
Yeah. So if you can place that somewhere, the gym there have been times at the gym and now competitive eating has probably saved my life. You know, realistically. And just, you could take that and I would describe it like a coiled spring. If you can just pull that spring, don't let it go. You gotta know when you can let it go. If you can coil that spring, like at Nathan's, my buddy Ricardo that was there, he competes as well, but he was in the crowd, he was watching, he's like, dude, you were shaking. You were literally shaking before the contest. And I'm like, yeah. Like that's where I want to go, where it's just like, oh my God, if somebody was to tap me on the shoulder, I'm going to jaw you if you just tap me on the shoulder right now. Because if that's that part, like, I think, yeah, I would agree with you. That's probably a largely genetic or like how something fires in your brain trait. And then if you can train that, just like anything else, it can become an incredible fucking strength.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, listen, do you have sponsors, people, places where, first of all, where can people go to find you? And then do you have any sponsors? Who sponsors a competitive eater? How does that even work?
Just an idiot sponsor. No, not now. You know, I'm a big fan of a few people. You know, just some of my friends, and you know, with awesome businesses I like to read, like Rosetta and Alessandro with Bolero.
Oh yeah, they have a great product.
The drink mix I use, they really do. It's kick ass. Like I use the vanilla and the almond in like my coffee or in like my oatmeal or cream of rice.
Yeah,
I love doing those for those, and then the exotic. And the elderflower, I'm like, what the hell is elderflower? Before I ever tried it, I'm like, this shit's unreal.
I haven't tried that. Good. I haven't tried that one.
Dude, try it. Change your life.
Yeah.
But like, I legit use their Bolero, so you know, shout out to them. I appreciate them always sending me those for the contests and stuff. Other than that, the people at Pit Viper have been really cool to me. Pit Viper sunglasses, they send us awesome stuff. You know, so wore those the Americas for Nations and stuff. So those are super chill. But if people want to find it, you know, myself or my fiance is much better to look at than me. You know, thehungrycouple.com, you know, has all our social media links. Mine's just Nick Wehry on all my social medias, but thehungrycouple.com has a lot of vlogs, contests coming up, stuff about all the YouTube videos. If you want to see 10-pound California rolls or 22-pound ice cream sundaes or, you know, hot dog practices or any other ridiculousness, you can check that out.
Yeah, I watched one of your hot dog practices and I was just, like I said earlier, just utterly blown away by how fast you can just put those things in, man. It's nuts.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Dr. Scott actually came to one.
No kidding.
He's like, yeah, you know, because again, Scott and I talk a lot. And he's like, you mind if I come to a practice? Can I see him? Like, because the really cool thing about him is legitimately one of the smartest people I've ever met. I think that's true for most of us when you talk to Dr. Scott, but a genuinely just good person.
Yeah.
And he's like,
yeah, he is.
And I think he just has an interest in what the human body can accomplish.
Yes.
Almost regardless of like where. So like with me, I think it's just unreal. Like it's like, man, if we could get you like down to the college, we could do like a scan on you, like what happens after you eat, like your digestive motility versus like. And even like hers and whatever, it'd be so cool. So it's cool, man. It's fun. What I do is a lot of fun, and it's cool. Like I said, still be able to do this and to like be on here with you guys, and that bodybuilding mentality, I will say, has paid huge dividends for me here. You know, I wouldn't be if I didn't go through the hurt, so to speak. If I didn't Leroy Davis for 12 years before competitive eating, I wouldn't be where I am.
Oh, yeah. That's cool, man. Well, listen, guys, we appreciate you hanging out. Everybody who was on the live feed, a lot of people really enjoyed this. In fact, Matt had said, I didn't even expect to come here to get the best training advice that I never knew that I needed to hear. So this is a lot of fun, man. And it's cool to see that crossover. I appreciate your time, Nick. And listen, man, I wish you the best of luck at your next contest.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Scott. I'll keep everybody updated.